Hello, good evening. My name is Laura. Hello. And yeah, I'm going to be starting the meetup shortly. We're just going to give it another minute. Hi, Ivan. How are you? Okay. Yeah. Oh, it's so hot over here. Boiling. Glad to be inside. Yeah, that's fine, Ivan. Don't worry. You don't have to speak or show your face on camera if you don't want to. Okay. Okay. All right. So we might as well just get started, and then if somebody else is joining, I will keep an eye on the chat. Okay. So yeah. So just to reiterate, my name is Laura. Welcome to the project walkthrough for the school catalog project. Let me just hide this bit here. Okay. And just to give you an idea of what we're doing today. So first there will be introductions. There will be a small recap as to what object-oriented programming is. Then there will be the actual walkthrough, and then we're just going to wrap up. So it's going to be nice and short. Okay, so just to introduce myself. So my name's Laura. I've been here on Codecademy for a couple of years now, and I've been hosting sessions. I'm learning just for fun. And then what I've found over the years is when Codecademy switched to a new platform, a lot of the videos, a lot of the walkthroughs, a lot of the discussions disappeared, and I kind of miss them, to be honest. And what I would like to know now is, sorry, Ivan's already introduced yourself. Could you maybe just leave a little note in the chat, okay, what brings you here? Or if you'd rather not talk about that, maybe you can share a little fact, a fun coding-related factoid, and one sentence is fine. Let me just have a look at the chat as well. Okay. Oh, wow. You're actually a computer science student. Mm-hmm. If the other person would like to join and introduce themselves, that's fine too. Hello. Java and C++. Okay, wow. I'm good. How are you? Yeah, well, I'm going to talk about that now. So let's jump right in. So today's topic, just one sec. Okay. So today's topic is actually object-oriented programming, which is a programming paradigm, and has to include objects and classes in Python. And then classes can inherit from one another. There are parent and child classes. I've prepared a little recap in one of the Codecademy workspaces. Let me just share that right now. One sec. And then we're going to have a look at the actual project. Next slide. Mm-hmm. There we go. Just to check, is anybody familiar with object-oriented programming? Is that a concept that you've heard of before? Okay, I'll let you guys sign up in the chat while I'm just going to go over the basics. So let's say you want to have a code and you want to be able to reuse it. And let's say, for example, you want to create a class called animals, and then all animals eat in some way or the other, right? So they can have a little method, like, for example, they can say, I'm eating. But then let's say you want to make your code reusable even more, and then you could create a subcategory, which is the child class down here, which is a cat class, and it inherits from animal. So we pass it in here. It can also have class variables like so. So you declare the variable at the beginning, and you declare what it's supposed to be. So for example, here it's a string, cat says meow. And then you have something called a constructor, where you use a double underscore to initialize it. You have self to describe yourself if you create an instance of it. And then you can also have properties. And I did a little bit of reading. So some properties, they mentioned to use an underscore, and sometimes underscores are not used. But from what I can tell, an underscore is a good habit to have, because it allows others not to mess with your properties. It allows for bugs to not occur in that sense. Okay, and then let's say you have properties like, for example, your cat can have a name, your cat can have an age, like so. And then if you want to just quickly be able to have an object to find out what your class instance is about, you could have this representative method down here, which again just takes in self, and then it always returns something. So in this case, it could return a string, and it could return the name, and it could return the age. And then we can also have functions inside of classes. They are called methods. And then, for example, if you wanted to make the cat go meow, you could say, okay, this meowing method could produce the cat sound. Okay, or you could just say, for example, you could just say meow. That works as well. It's not a problem. And then the neat way to actually use this class is you create an instance. So you create a variable down here. It has a cat class like so, and then it has, if you remember, it can have properties. For example, here we have the name, which is Zumi. And let's say it has an age property as well, which in this case is 3 years old. And then let's say we want to print that instance. Okay, or for example, we want to use the method. Let's have a look. Let's run this one. And then what it does is, my name is Zumi, I'm 3 years old. So this is up here, the representative method. And if you want to call the method, which it gets that from animal up here, right? If you want to call that method, you use the variable, the instance, you call the method, and it actually tells you, okay, I'm eating. Okay, so that's just a really, really quick recap for object-oriented programming. There's a lot of lessons on Codecademy as well. Let me just quickly go back to the chat. Okay. Yep, you're familiar with that. Okay. All right. Okay. So that's a quick little recap. Let me just get out of that, and let's get into the actual project. If you're already familiar, aren't you going to be bored? Just out of interest. You want to recap? Yeah, that's fair enough. Okay. And in that case, let's open up the walkthrough. Just one second. Hmm. Hmm. Okay. So we're saying it's not something you learn in one day. It takes time to really master it. Yeah. You're considering Java, and you can say it looks similar to Python. Okay. You recommend Java. Yep. Fair enough. Is there anything in particular that you recommend about Java? Ooh. Oi. I already had it. Let me just reset it. Just one sec. Okay. I'll give you a moment. And while you're done that, we're just going to have a look at the project. So the one that we were looking at on Codecademy is called School Catalogue. And yeah, so basically what it does is it gives you a little task. You are to create a school class, and then you are to create primary, middle, and high schools. In my case, I found it a bit redundant to do a middle and a high school class. We can have a look at it briefly, but basically, once we have the school class and the primary class, that's pretty much your learning done. There's not too much to add after the middle and the high schools, to be honest. Okay. Okay. They're saying Java's used to in mobile apps. Okay. Now Kotlin and Java. Okay. How to find the project? Yep. Let me just share the project here. From what I gather, it is part of the paid course. Also, just to reiterate, I'm not, I'm on a volunteer basis, so I'm not getting paid for this. This is just me as a learner sharing my experience. Okay. All right. So let's have a little look. So what the project asks, it says, okay, can you please start by making a parent class for primary, middle, and high school classes? And it says here, okay, let's start by having an empty class named school. Okay. So what we do is we say class school, like so. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And then inside the school class, create a constructor that accepts 3 parameters. Okay. Okay. All right. So what we can do here is we have a constructor. So we start the constructor by saying def and then initialize. That's how I like to remember it. And then we have the name. Okay, it's asking you for some things. Okay, so the school should have a name and a level and the number of students. Okay, so you can say self. And then, so this is my personal preference. I kind of like to know where my data is coming from. So I don't just call it name, I call it input name, but that's just my personal liking, to be honest. I think you can just also just call it name, no problem. So let's say here, we input name. All right. And we can call it input level and input number of students. I think I'm just going to copy because otherwise it's going to take forever. Okay. From my notes. Okay, so I did go through everything myself, but typing it out is just going to take me a while. I'm not the fastest typer. So, next slide. So let's say here we have self, input name, input level, input number of students, and then down here as well. So when we have our properties down here, we have name, which is the input name. We have level, which is the input level. Then we have number of students, which is input number of students. And if you have a little look here, so let's just have a look at the hint. Okay, so here we declared our class, that's fine. And then if we have a little look here, it says, okay, constructor is created using init and then self and then your parameters. So we've done all that. And then it's saying here to set the properties equal to the values passed into the constructor, and also to use self. But then if you have a look at the hint, they are just adding to say self.name equals name, right? So I did look it up because I remembered in a couple of other Codecademy lessons, it did recommend to use underscore. And generally I found that as a convention, it is preferable to use an underscore before each property when you declare it, so that you cannot manipulate the property from outside this code, and it makes your code less prone to bugs and errors. Okay, so we've done all that, and let me just quickly check on the chat. You have written a closing parenthesis that you do not have to write on line number 5. That is correct. I mistyped. Thank you. Okay, I've got some fat fingers. Sorry, we've done that. And then here, create getters for the name, level, and number of students' properties. And then each getter should return the value saved to the property. And then what getters are basically, they're kind of like functions, and they take self. Okay, so again, we do that. So we're down here. And we go to the same level as the constructor. And now we just declare them like so. So here we have the name getter, which intakes self, and it returns the name. And then we have the level getter, and it returns the level of your instance. And then here we have number of students, and it returns the number of students. Let's just save this and let's see if we get any errors. Oh, not yet. Okay, good. But if we had had the bracket here, we would have had an error at this point. Okay, good. Now, so we've done that, and now it's time to create a setter for the number of students. And this method should take a parameter and set self number of students to the value passed into the method. So basically what you can imagine is the setter method, it's a little bit interactive. So you give it a value and then it does something, okay? So it's not just your number of students up here. Actually, you can change your class. All right. Okay. And then what I did is I said, okay, so here I have my setter and I have my new number of students. I still have self, but then self equals the new number of students. So I have some input, and then number of students can be set equal to those new number of students. So I'm actually actively manipulating my function. Okay, so I've done that. And now it's saying, okay, you should create a representation method so that when you print a score, it displays the information about your object. Okay, and you can choose what you want to write, and this is what they suggest. Okay, all right. So I did that as well. Okay. Okay. So we've got it here. It takes self as a parameter, and then I called it description. So a type of level school named this and this name with number of students, and then level refers to their own level of the instance, name refers to the name, and the number of students refers to number of students. And then at the end, once that's done, it should return description. Let's just have a look. Any errors? Well, not yet. Okay. And then now they're saying, okay, you should probably test your code, and you should try creating a school object and use the getter and setter methods, and you should print that object. Okay. And then what they suggested here, okay, I used some of their suggested test, and I just changed it to what I had called it at this point. Okay, so over here it's saying the code looks like this: Codecademy High, 100 students, and then get the name, get the level, set the number of students, and then print how many students are actually in that school. Okay, so I have the same bit here. Codecademy, it's a high school. It's got 100 students. For this print A, I just want whatever's in the representation method up here. I want to get the name separately. I want to get the level separately to make sure it's working. I want to change the number of students. And then I want to get the number of students. Let's have a look. Okay, so here we have, it's a high school named Codecademy with 100 students. So that's exactly what I put in. Codecademy High School, 100 students. And then it just kind of, what it does down here. Now we're changing the number of students to 200, right? And once we check the number of students has now changed from 100 to 200. So the setter method has worked. Good. All right. So we've done that. And now is the next bit. So it's asking here to build a primary school class and it's supposed to inherit from school. And you can do it on your own or you can follow the steps that they have below. And whether you want to follow the steps or not, primary school is only different in one way. It has a pickup policy. So, well, little kids, maybe they need more help coming home. They are more vulnerable, whereas older kids might be able to get home on their own. So that's why they're saying, okay, for primary school, it should have a pickup policy. Okay, so then it says here, okay, create an empty primary school class that inherits from school. Okay, let's do that. So then here, let's look at that. So here we have the primary school and it inherits from school. So school is the parent, primary school is the child class. Let me just have a quick look at the chat. All good. And then again, it's asking for a constructor and it has to have 3 arguments. And if we do that, let's have a look. Let's go back a step. So here again, we initialize, we have self, we have the name of the primary school, we have the number of students of the primary school, and then we have a pickup policy. So that's done. And then here it talks about a super method. And then what it does is this helps primary school get info from the school class. Okay, let's do that as well. Okay. Okay, so this inherits here from the parent. That's what it does. And it still needs a name. And it needs a type of level and the number of students. And then it's also asking for a pickup policy. So these are the inherited parameters. And then the new policy goes below and it says pickup policy is the same as what you input for your pickup policy. Okay, so we've done that as well. Okay. And what we want to do now is we want to create a new getter, and it should return the pickup policy, because that is not contained in the school. That's only contained in the primary school method. Okay, so we do that. So that's our getter method down here. It is the pickup policy getter. It takes self as an argument, and then it returns the pickup policy. Let's just save that. Okay. Finally, you want to use the representation method for the primary school to display information. And now what we do is we want to override the representation method from the existing school method, because we also want to show the pickup policy. Okay. So here we have the parent representation, and basically it means that the child is getting its representation method from the school, the parent class. And now what I want to do is I want to return a new description. Okay, and the new description is made up of the parent representation up here. And then I also want to add the pickup policy. And the way I do that is just very simple, string concatenation. So I add this same as I did before with the format, okay, and taking in pickup policy. And then I want to return the new description. Okay, now we want to create a primary school object and verify the constructor, getter method, and representation method. So basically we want to check, did all this bit up here that we just did that actually work? So let's try that. And for this, again, I was quite lazy. I just used the suggested test from Codecademy like so, and I just changed it according to the variables that I was using. Okay, so here we have our primary school instance. I called it C primary. Again, it has 100 students. It has dedicated pickup areas available, and pickup is from 1500 onwards. So that is my pickup policy. So let's have a look. Did that actually work? Okay. So this one here is a primary school named C primary. Yeah, that's the name that we gave it, with 100 students. Yeah, I gave it 100 students. Its pickup policy is as follows. So there is a dedicated pickup area available, and you can pick up your child from 1500 onwards, and it just returns my little tests up here. And that's pretty much it. And then again, it keeps going, and it's basically the same thing for the high school class. So you can do that on your own if you want to, following the session. And let me just have a look at the chat again one more time. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. Why did I not use camel case on 37 and 38? Let's have a look. Because I, again, was lazy. We can do that right now. But you're quite right. I should be more consistent. Let's do that here. Parent representation. So, does it still work? Yes, still works. Yeah, there you go. Okay, and that pretty much concludes the session. Is there anything anybody would like to ask or to note? Yeah, I can change that as well. I completely agree. No. Okay, if there's no further questions, okay, let's give it a moment. We might as well just wrap up. You don't have a doubt. Okay, good. Okay, good. Then I would just really like to say thanks for your time. And I hope you have a lovely day, evening. And yeah, happy coding. All right, take care. Thank you. Bye-bye.